So today we will discuss about F.R. Lewis and his enactment. So F.R. Lewis is one of the great critics of 20th century who is called as a cultural critic. But at the same time, we can place F.R. Lewis within the new critical theory, where the autonomy of the text or the text is more emphasized than the author. As well as Lewis's work is also indicating towards the reader's response theory, where the reader is of greater importance in creating the textual meaning or the text. So here he is presenting the concept of enactment. In page 53, he is talking, we might perhaps say a metaphorical enactment, though what we have here wouldn't ordinarily be called metaphor. The important point is that it provides the most obvious local illustration of a pervasive action of the verse. So, an enactment is a pervasive action of the verse or action in the reader as he follows the verse. That means the metaphorical enactment or the enactment in poetry, it is a pervasive action where the reader and the verse, they are being entangled or they are being together to create the meaning. As he takes the meaning, recreates the organization, responds to the play of the sense movement against the verse structure, makes the succession of efforts necessary to pronounce the organized words. He performs in various modes a continuous analogical enactment. So, the reader, he takes the organization of the words within the literary text and he reorganizes it according to his own cultural and personal traits, and he performs various modes of analogical enactment. That means he becomes like the conductor of a musical concert. You know, musical concert. In the musical concerts, there are conductors, means the person who gives the direction to the musicians to go with. So the reader is like that, and his participation in the verse provides that meaning. And why Lewis is telling these things? Because Lewis, as a cultural critic, subscribed to the idea that a writer always brings to a text the culture and intellectual baggage of his own. That means when a writer produces a text or brings a text to the world, the text is not without the influence of the writer's cultural, intellectual, philosophical influences. That means Lewis subscribed to the idea that every literary text is a cultural text. So every writer, every poet is having his own baggage of these cultural or intellectual borrowings or hangings, etc. So he is telling in this essay that he is analyzing the English poetry since the metaphysical poets John Donne. And he is telling that in John Donne's poetry, we find a dramatic enactment. In page number 49, he is telling that this suggests the mimetic flexibility for which the whole piece is remarkable. The poet's logical deliberation of the first three lines suggesting the voice of invincibly rational caution. He is telling that John Donne's poetry is bringing more mimetic flexibility. You know, mimetic imitation, so imitational flexibility. And there is also poised logical deliberation. Already we have discussed metaphysical poetry is having the dual sensibility of intellectualism, rationality, and emotional or feelings, etc. So here what happens, he is telling that when Shakespeare produced his poetry, Shakespeare's poetry was dramatic poetry. Shakespeare's poetry was like performed on the stage. It was creating a stage, and the reader was looking at this poetry, going through the poetry, very much conscious that this is being performed on a stage. But Lewis is telling Donne's poetry is different. There was enactment in Shakespeare's poetry. The reader was finding the enactment of the poem or the poetic sensibility on the stage. But in case of Donne, the reader is not finding a stage, but the reader is finding sufficient space within the poetry. By the metaphysical use of metaphysical concepts, metaphysical imageries, Donne has created sufficient space as well as a movement. So, what was the movement? The movement was from one state to another, one place to another. You can take any example of metaphysical poetry, the sun rising. So the sun is rising, the poet is telling the sun not to come, not to disturb the lovers, but to go to the school children, this, that. And then he moves on. So there is a movement. And with this movement, what is happening? The poet is giving us a sense as if we are being moving within the poetry. We are going to the sun, the kings, we are going to the lovers, we are moving around the bed of the lovers. And the poet, somewhere in the poetry, is suggesting about far away Africa, Asia, we are moving there. So there is a movement, there is a space. So this movement and space is more sustained and more linear than that of Shakespearean enactment or Shakespearean movement in the poetry. And then Lewis is telling after Donne, when Milton came, Milton's movement was different. Donne's movement was the most pervasive. It was throughout the poetry. From the very beginning till the end, within the poetry, the reader was very active. In Milton's poetry also there is enactment, but the reader is not being so much active, the reader is not being so proactive. And he is telling that in the age of Dryden and Pope, there is more ratiocination, more rationality, and as a result, the movement is there, the enactment is there, but it is not like the enactment of metaphysical poetry, which is most engrossing. And then he is tracing the English poetry from Dryden and Pope to the Victorian poets like Tennyson and others, and he is finding a greater similarity between Milton and Tennyson in the movement of poetry. So, in this show, what is happening? That Lewis is telling that English poetry is having a history of enactment, but the most powerful and the most sustained enactment we find in the poetry of Donne and his followers. And of course, he is analyzing the other metaphysical poets, but he is telling Donne was someone who was most remarkable in this. So, what he's telling in page 54, he's telling that uh, hmm, where the sense movement is brought off abruptly as by a rock face at regists, and then starting on another tack comes to a successful conclusion. So in Donne's poetry we find the sense movement which suddenly begins, because dramatic poetry, that means metaphysical poetry is having abrupt beginning, and from there by rock face at regist and then starting on another tack, and the poem moves in different directions. Suddenly it starts moving, it goes on to move in one direction, then goes into another direction. There is no need to multiply illustrations, though a great variety could easily be mustered. The point has been sufficiently made that in considering these kinds of effect, we find imagery giving place to movement. So, in metaphysical poetry or Donne's poetry, imageries are giving place to movement. That the images they are using, they're actually movements, they're more moving, as the appropriate term for calling attention to what has to be analyzed. So, in this way, what we find that enactment is one of the most dramatic element of metaphysical poetry as well as the English poetry. In all the English poetry from Shakespearean age, the age of Elizabethan to Victorian, Lewis is finding different approaches of enactment is being executed within poetry. And he is telling that this is evident in his choice of themes and the ways in which he represented his subjects. But even beyond that, in his adoption of the tactics of performativity, Donne displayed cognizance of and familiarity with a culture of dramatic practice. So, Lewis is telling probably Donne was very much aware about the dramatic surrounding around him. And instead of following the dramatic poetry of Shakespeare and his contemporaries, Donne rather took off the enactment in a very proactive manner. So, it is the continuing condition of English poetry even after Donne, and he is telling that this is also found in the Victorian poets, and we can even find greater similarity between Spenser and Tennyson, or Milton and Tennyson, but Shakespeare is different and Donne is absolutely different. And why enactment is produced? Why enactment is necessary? He is telling that it is a condition that extends to ask the reader to participate and make sense of the process of aesthetic creation. That is the purpose of enactment. So, what is the purpose of enactment? That it is a condition that extends to ask the reader to participate and make sense. The reader must participate and make a sense of the process of aesthetic creation. He must participate. For example, suppose you are living in Assam, you know the culture in Assam, and when you are appreciating or analyzing poetry of Tamil Nadu, you may not be able to participate in that analysis of the poetry. But when you are finding some cultural familiarity, you will be participating in that poetry more. And as a result, what will happen? For you, the meaning or the suggestiveness of poetry will be more profound, will be having a greater range of interaction. So in this way, what happens? This enactment, it laid the foundation of reader's response theory that came in 20th century. So I have given answer, you read and you will follow, and from this only 5-mark question can be asked or 1 or 2-mark question can be asked. So that is all.